Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, May 6th. Today's move follow a lackluster start to the week as investors continue to monitor trade talks and anticipate the latest from the Fed due out tomorrow. During regular trading yesterday, all three major indices closed down, but not far off flatline. The S&P 500 snapped its winning streak to end off by 36 points, or 0.64%. The Dow gave up 98 points, or about 0.25%. The Nasdaq dropped 133 points, or nearly 0.75%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps were lower by 0.76% this morning. Essentially the market's, digesting, the latest comments from Trump on tariffs, which are definitely a negative for the markets. And there hasn't been any trade deals announced. That's a negative for the markets. And the economy is slipping. And we see that in the economic numbers. And soon we're going to start getting the economics numbers that are coming out. They're going to be showing the economy in April. And they're not going to be pretty when they come out. But yesterday, Trump did sign an order to kind of make it easier for some pharmaceutical companies to manufacture medicines here in the U.S. That can be viewed as a positive, but he also talked about how he's going to start doing, try to lower prescription drug prices, which is kind of a negative for drug makers. And later today, he's going to be meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister Carney, so that could be something there. We got to keep an eye on that. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he's going to be on Capitol Hill today. He's testifying at a House Appropriations Committee hearing. What else do we have? Doordas agrees to buy Deliverzoo. Uber announced a partnership with Pony AI to deploy robotaxis. That's kind of interesting. On the earnings front, Palantir, PLTR, they just met expectations, which wasn't great. And then you look at all these companies with their guidance, like Ford. They withdrew their guidance, citing economic uncertainties. After the bell today, you got AMD, you got ANET releasing. On the economics front, you get that trade data report that's scheduled for release. That could be something that, with the lack of economic reports coming out today, that one's going to get more attention than normal. Turn our attention over to Europe. The DAX is down 0.8%. It is in the red this morning. And realistically, there's a lot of political uncertainty going on in Germany. German leader Merz failed to secure a majority for requirement to achieve the position of German Chancellor in the first round of voting. It'll happen. It's going to take a couple round of votings for that to occur. Then you look at the FTSE. The FTSE's down 10 points, or 0.12%. There's a lot of merger news today in London. France, the CAC is down 30 points, or 0.39%. The French industrial production was weaker than expected, and then you get the global tensions that's kind of causing the weakness this morning. In Asia, we did see the Nikkei was closed. They have another holiday going on today. But Hong Kong was opened, and Hong Kong gained 0.7%. We saw some positive action in tech stocks. China's market jumped 1.13%. And that's really, remember, they've been closed for the last few days, so this is really a reaction to indications of pending U.S.-China trade talks. And then we're looking at oil, and oil is rallying this morning. It's up over 2%. There's talk of some Middle East tensions that are causing prices to jump, but this is really, oil was just so oversold yesterday that I'm not surprised to see it some gains this morning. And after the bell today, you do get the stockpile estimates from the American Petroleum Institute. Those are going to be keenly watched. And that's what I have for you in terms of a morning update, Emily.
Bill, it seems that after your morning update every morning, we sort of point out the fact that, tariff talks do loom over markets. It's something that everybody continues to watch. and can definitely sway the markets either way, as we've noticed over the last few weeks. But we also hear other details that are worth watching. You're keeping track of earnings, the economic events, of course, the latest from the FOMC, along with other corporate headlines. And that's important so that we're not only watching one type of news, but we're really gathering data across all fronts. As I did point out, you are watching earnings. Action is still pretty hot here, number of big companies. So we will start there. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
LDOS, David, Oscar, Sam, Lidos, they reported earnings this morning. And, they did a beat of 47 cents, and that was done on higher revenue. That stock's up 0.49%, which is positive this morning. And then you have last night we got Vertex Pharmaceuticals. They missed by $2 on lower revenue. Vertex is down 8.2%. It's down 4.83% this morning. And Palantir, they just met expectations. Remember, expectations are very lofty for this firm. They did it on higher revenue, but they only met expectations, and as a result, Palantir is down 8.14% this morning. Upcoming after the bell, you got Arista Networks, ANET, Apple, Nancy, Edward, Tom. Their EPS is 59 cents. Expected move is 9.46%. And AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, the EPS 93 cents. Expected move 9.8% when they release after the bell today, Emily.
You'll be keeping track of all of those using your earnings alert on your NewsWare. You're also keeping track of economic reports. A little bit slow today, as you mentioned, but important to watch the report that is coming out, given that there isn't a lot of other stuff. And then we are anticipating what is upcoming from the Fed tomorrow. So give us a look at everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
At 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, you get the international trade in goods and services report coming out. This is the March trade balance numbers. They're going to receive heightened attention as they're the only economic number coming out today, and these figures precede the Trump tariff. So, and there was a lot of stockpiling going on. So, I'm not going to read too much into these numbers. But today is the start of the FOMC meeting. I'm not expecting them to make any changes. I expect them to hold rates steady in the 4.25 to 4.5 range. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he's going to be on Capitol Hill talking today. Yesterday, he was in LA at a conference and he attempted to do a positive spin on the U.S. economy, talking about how tariffs, tax reform, and deregulation are interlocking parts of an engine designed to drive long-term investment in the American economy. We don't have factories anymore. You got to build them. That's kind of an issue. I mean, for the American economy, we don't have the low-cost workers that they have a lot overseas. That's an issue for the U.S. economy. So, these trade tariffs are really going to weigh on corporate earnings in the near future. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update, Emily.
That economic update, Bill, is really an ideal example of how you're using your NewsWare. We can hear there that you have a little bit of everything at your fingertips when it comes to what we should be watching when it comes to the economic events, reports, what's happening with the FOMC, and then that sort of big picture, the political headlines and commentary from our lawmakers. And that is important as we navigate these tariff talks, the health of the economy, and other types of market moving information, because not only are you watching your earnings reports and your economic events, there's still other types of information you're watching, following things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, all using your NewsWare. You can also group your stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
Looking at my Dow stocks this morning, I got 5 higher, 24 lower, and 1 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm seeing losses across the board on all of the FANG stocks. Not good, but on Apple, I did see Bank of America note coming out saying Apple's App Store revenue is up 11% in fiscal Q3 to date. So that's kind of positive. Google is trading lower, down 1.23% this morning. The DOJ said in a court filing that the proposed remedies include divestitures are necessary to end Google's monopolies and restore competition in the space. I don't want them to sell it. It's hard for them to I guess they could sell the Chrome browser. That's about it. Netflix, hey, those Trump tariffs on foreign movies that ended Netflix 11-day winning streak. Tesla, Tesla's down 1.59% this morning. Tesla sales in Germany, dropped by half, by 50% in April. Not good. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we're talking Microsoft. They're seen as the biggest holdout for that open AI restructuring plan where they want to become a for-profit company. IBM and Oracle are expanding their partnership to advance some AI and hybrid cloud development. Boeing, ticker BA, it's trading a little lower. It's down 0.78%. But, Qatar Airways said they're about to order 100 wide-body jets from Boeing. So, that's something to keep an eye on. Ticker BA, boy, Apple. In terms of merger news, Doordash is all over the tape this morning because they did announce earlier a deal to buy Deliverzoo for $3.86 billion. Then they came out with their earnings report, and in the report they also said that they reached a deal to acquire 7 rooms for $1.2 billion in an all-cash transaction. So you look at the shares of Doordash this morning after all those acquisitions, and it's down 0.96%. Not bad. I mean, I figure we'll go down further than that, but that's pretty good. In terms of guidance, Ford suspended their guidance amid substantial industry risks. Hims and Hers, sees 4-year 2025 revenue at 2.3 to 2.4 billion, where the consensus estimate is 2.32 billion. That's an uptick. Palantir, PLTR, they see Q2 revenue coming in 934 million to 938 million. Street estimates 899. That's a big uptick for Palantir, PLTR. In terms of shareholder meetings going on, the CBOE's having one at 8 a.m. Ticker BAX are having one at 9. Bank of New York, BNY is having one at 10. Hershey's Foods, HSY is having one also at 10 a.m. And Intel is having a virtual shareholders meeting at noon, I guess, Eastern time at 9 a.m. Pacific time, Intel INTC virtual shareholders meeting. But that's what I have for in terms of morning updates, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk Pickup Day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
Ticker NVO, Nancy Victor Oscar, Novo Nordisk. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is 91 cents. Expected move is 7.35%. Looking at yesterday's call volume, 13,622 calls versus 10,208 puts. Open interest, 268K versus 221K. Listen, yesterday's call put ratio was 0.75, which is positive. Major brokers, they're not all on board, but some are really like the stock. Now, you look at it, it's $68.34 this morning. It is cheap. And yesterday they announced new partnerships with telehealth providers, Hims and Hers, Roe, and LifeMD. And the story, the narrative here is that they're going to be selling full-priced weight loss drugs to those firms for resale, which is positive. But they also announced that oral pill, which is going to be announced, which is under review right now. It's about what they say in the earnings call. But if I can get in at under 68 or the low 68 range, I think this is going to turn as we get closer to earnings. And I think we're going to be able to see at least a 1% gain. If I can get that during the day, I'm going to take it and walk away. But I do like Novo Nordisk, ticker NVO, low 68 or under 68 for a gain today, Emily.
And Bill, another earnings play today and that specific entry price you're targeting in on. And that was a strategy that you used yesterday. And we'll see how that worked out in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay. Qatar Airways set to order 100 wide-body jets from Boeing. Could be announced later today. Trump's meeting with Canadian Prime Minister at the Oval Office starts at 11:45 a.m. Expect a press conference. Marriott, it says that they're positioned very well for sustainable long-term growth. Trump set pharma tariff deadlines. NIO sold 52 EVs in April in its 5 EU markets. German sales down 64%. U.S. approves $310 million training and for Ukraine F-16s after mineral deal was signed. Trump says pharma tariffs to come in 2 weeks. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
All right, Bill, before we dive into trading on this Tuesday, let's do a check-in on yesterday's pick of the day before we sign off, which was DigitalOcean. They did release earnings this morning. They beat on both fronts. They reported a Q1 EPS of 56 cents. That was better than analyst estimates of 42 cents. Revenue for the quarter came in at $211 million versus the consensus estimate of $208.53 million. They did back their full year 2025 view. They're looking at an EPS of $1.85 to $1.95. The consensus there had been $1.91, so sort of in the middle. And they're looking for a full year 2025 revenue of $870 to $890 million. And the consensus sort of right in the middle there at $882.9 million. Overall, a positive report for them. Yesterday, you said the key to this one was the entry point, trying to get in, get a little bit of a gain. Bill, how did your call work out?
Worked out great. I mean, the stock opened up at $31.98 and fell to $31.56. And I was thinking, 32 or under, and I think it said 31.80. So that 31.56 falling, wasn't that much. And, then it just rallied. It rallied and hit a high of $33.46. And then that's before it closed at 32.76. And this morning, it actually hit a high of 34.75. But yesterday, DigitalOcean, DOCN, David, Oscar, Charlie, Nancy, worked out well, Emily.
Another solid win there on an earnings play, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Novo Nordisk earnings play at Pick of the Day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.